The Hungry Shadow. The Winter of Silence. In the late winter of 1923, deep within the mountains of Hunan Province, there lay a small and forgotten village named Qingshui, the village of clear water. Yet, there was nothing clear about it anymore. The streams had frozen, the fields were barren, and the villagers' breath rose like white ghosts into the pale air. That winter was cruel beyond memory. Crops failed, bandits roamed the roads, and plague devoured the weak. Those who survived learned to shut their doors at sundown and pretend not to hear the knocks that came in the night, because not all who knocked were still alive. At the heart of the village stood the Zhao family's house, a sturdy courtyard dwelling with crimson-painted doors and stone lions that guarded the entrance. The family had once been merchants, not rich enough to boast, but comfortable enough to never know hunger. The head of the household, Zhao Wenhai, was a stern man in his 50s, respected for his discipline and feared for his temper. His wife, Madame Lian, managed the house with quiet pride, and their son Zhao Ming, a young man of 17, was strong but arrogant, raised to believe that misfortune belonged only to others. It was during the coldest week of that cursed winter when the knocking began. 2. The beggar at the gate. It was near dusk when a figure appeared through the snow. A hunched silhouette moved slowly down the frozen road, leaning on a crooked staff. The villagers who saw him from afar whispered and turned away. His robe was little more than rags, his face hidden under a hood. He walked from house to house, knocking faintly on each door. "Please," the old voice rasped. A bowl of rice, the scrap of warmth. Each door remained closed. No one wanted misfortune to step inside. Hunger had turned hearts to stone. When he reached the Zhao residence, night had already fallen. The red paper talismans on the door fluttered in the wind. The old man raised his hand and knocked. 3 slow, hollow knocks that echoed through the courtyard. Madame Lian opened the door a crack, the lantern light spilling across the snow. She saw a gaunt figure, eyes sunken deep, lips cracked and blue. "Good woman," he said, his breath trembling. "I have not eaten in 3 days. Please a bit of rice for mercy's sake." Lian hesitated. "We have little enough ourselves, old one. Try next door." "Next door, turn me away," the beggar whispered. "Every door, turn me away." From inside, Zhao Wenhai's voice thundered. "Who stands there?" The old man bowed weakly. "Just a traveler, Master Zhao. Hungry and cold. Then die elsewhere." Wenhai barked, slamming the table. "You'll bring pestilence into my home." Madame Lian flinched at her husband's words, but dared not argue. The old man lowered his head and murmured something faintly. Perhaps a prayer, perhaps a curse. "Mercy refused," he said softly. "May heaven witness." And he turned away, shuffling into the snow. His shadow vanished beyond the gate. The wind howled louder that night. By dawn, when Zhao Ming opened the door, he found the old man's body frozen stiff on their doorstep, eyes wide open, mouth still parted as if whispering a final plea. 3. The first omen. They buried him quickly outside the village wall. No rites, no offerings. The villagers muttered that it was ill luck to die before another's gate, and worse luck still for the house that stood behind it. That night, a strange sound drifted through the Zhao courtyard. It was faint at first, like a soft tapping or a finger brushing along the wooden panels. Then came the whisper. Cold, so cold. Madame Lian woke and lit a lamp. The sound ceased, but when she turned, she saw a wet footprint on the floor beside the bed, small, bare, and black with frost. The next morning, the rice jar in the kitchen was found overturned. The grain was scattered across the floor, as if clawed by invisible hands. Lian scolded the servants for carelessness, but none dared to swear it was not their doing. That evening, Zhao Ming, returning late from the granary, heard something in the lane. Between the bare willow trees, he saw a figure crouching by the gate, thin, trembling, face hidden beneath a hood of snow. "Who's there?" he shouted, lifting his lantern. The figure slowly lifted its head. The beggar's eyes gleamed pale as glass, and from his cracked lips came a whisper. "You close the door." Ming stumbled back, dropping the lantern. The flame flared and died in the snow. When he looked again, the figure was gone, leaving only a line of footprints leading straight to his family's threshold and nowhere beyond. 4. the curse deepens. Within a week, misfortune struck like lightning. The Zhao family's ox dropped dead in its pen. The well water turned murky and stank of decay. One of the servants went mad, shrieking about a shadow feeding in the kitchen before throwing himself into the frozen pond. Zhao Wenhai called for a Taoist priest from a nearby temple. The priest, Master Qiu, arrived in a worn yellow robe, his beard white as frost. He examined the courtyard, chanting softly under his breath. When he reached the doorstep where the beggar had died, he stopped and frowned deeply. "The ground is tainted," he said. "The spirit lingers, bound by hunger and resentment." He died with his plea unanswered. His soul cannot leave. Wenhai's face darkened. "Nonsense. Spirits are for fools." Master Qiu looked him in the eye. "Then your arrogance will feed him, Master Zhao." He burned incense, placed talismans on the doors, and warned, "Do not leave food untouched at night. Do not step outside when the wind cries your name. Above all, do not open your door after sundown." They obeyed for 3 nights. On the 4th, Zhao Ming heard the crying again, faint sobs beneath his window. He rose, trembling, and saw a shadow kneeling outside the gate. It was whispering his name. "Ming, I am so hungry." The boy's heart pounded. Against reason, he opened the door just a crack, and the cold surged in like a scream. What he saw was not a man. It was the beggar's corpse, eyes hollow, mouth open too wide, ribs showing through gray skin. The spirit's breath came out as mist that smelled of rot. It reached toward him with trembling fingers. "Give me your ice." Ming slammed the door, but too late. One hand slipped through the crack. The wood splintered under an invisible force, and when he pulled away, a black mark had burned itself into the doorframe, shaped like a hand of ash. The Feast of Shadows. The hauntings grew bolder. The Zhao house, once proud and bright, became a tomb of whispers. Food spoiled overnight. Mirrors cracked without cause. At dusk, the kitchen fire would flare and die, as if the air itself had been devoured. Madame Lian fell ill. Her skin grew gray, her voice faded. Sometimes she would sit before the hearth and murmur, "He's here," waiting at the gate. One night, Wenhai found her kneeling before the door, a bowl of rice in her trembling hands. "He's hungry," she whispered. "If we feed him, he'll forgive us." "Stop this madness," Wenhai shouted, snatching the bowl away. The rice spilled onto the floor. The air grew suddenly cold. From outside came a sound, a soft, dragging breath. The door rattled. Then came the voice, hollow and wet. "Mercy refused, mercy refused." The windows shattered. Every lamp went out. When Wenhai struck a match, he saw that the spilled rice had turned black with blood. 6. The Lantern Festival. The villagers avoided the Zhao house now. They whispered that the family was cursed, that at night you could see a thin figure standing at their gate, holding an invisible bowl. Children swore they heard someone begging outside their homes too, softly, as if afraid to be turned away again. On the 15th night of the first lunar month, the Lantern Festival arrived, the night when spirits walk freely between the worlds. Madame Lian, feverish and pale, begged her husband to make an offering. "Please, Wenhai," she whispered, "he died because of us." But Zhao Wenhai, proud to the end, struck the table. "No ghost will shame me in my own house." That night, he locked every door and lit no lamps. The family sat together in the dark. Outside, the wind rose. A faint knocking came. "Please, a bowl of rice." Wenhai clenched his jaw. "Do not answer." But the knocking grew louder, faster, turning into a pounding like drums. The walls shook, the ceiling groaned. Then silence. From the shadows of the courtyard, a shape began to form. A black mist twisting into human form, head bowed low. It was the beggar, but now his mouth gaped open, stretching impossibly wide, and within it shimmered a faint red glow. "Mercy refused," he hissed. "Now, I feed." The spirit lunged. 7. The Devouring. The servants fled screaming into the snow. Madame Lian fainted as the candles burst into blue flame. Wenhai snatched the ancestral blade from its sheath, striking wildly at the air. The ghost's laughter filled the hall. low and hollow, like wind through bones. "Feed me," it crooned. "Feed me warmth, feed me flesh." Zhao Ming tried to pull his mother away, but a cold hand gripped his ankle. He looked down and saw another hand crawling from the floorboards, fingers gray and dripping. Then another, then 10 more. Hands of the dead. They dragged him down, and his scream was lost beneath the floor. Wenhai slashed again, but his sword passed through smoke. The spirit's face loomed before him, teeth like shards of glass. Mercy refused. It whispered one last time. When the villagers found the Zhao house the next morning, all 3 were dead. Wenhai's body sat stiff at the table, his face twisted in horror. Madame Lian lay by the door, her fingers still clutching a bowl of untouched rice. And Zhao Ming, he was never found. Only a trail of wet footprints led from the hearth to the gate, and then vanished into the snow. 8. Aftermath. The priest, Master Qiu, returned to perform the rites. He burned talismans until the smoke filled the sky, chanting prayers to guide the lost spirit away. But when he reached the doorstep, he stopped again, for there, in the ash, lay a single, perfect bowl of rice. Steam still rose from it, though the fire had long gone cold. Qiu trembled. He left the bowl untouched. The Zhao house was abandoned. Seasons passed. The village of Qingshui withered away, its people leaving one by one. But travelers who passed through the ruins sometimes told the same story. On winter nights, when the wind cuts like knives, a dim lantern flickers before the broken gate. And if you listen closely, you can hear a voice, soft and tired, whispering through the snow. "Please, just a bowl of rice." Those who answer, even out of pity, are never seen again. 9. Epilogue. The return. Nearly a century later, the valley was flooded to build a reservoir. The old village of Qingshui vanished beneath the water. But one night, during the ghost festival, a fisherman on the lake saw something. A shadow standing on the surface of the water, holding a bowl that reflected the moon. He heard the whisper, faint, carried by the wind. Mercy refused, mercy repaid. And when he looked again, the figure was gone, leaving only ripples that glowed red under the moonlight, like blood blooming beneath ice.